Good afternoon, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. I decided to finish up one of my classes, so here am I in the classroom, and I'm going to give a presentation here on doing videos and kind of catch up a little bit with one of our topics. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are on your purpose, battling on, conquesting, I call it. Continuing to battle on with yourself, and in the meantime, conquesting everything around you with that awesome power that we have that's inside of us. And I appreciate everybody's comments. I appreciate the idea that we're continuing battling on. And guys, the power is so powerful within us. Don't ever forget that. And you feel it. I'm at 1,000 in almost 50 days, and I just feel so much power. It's actually hard to control sometimes. So you guys know what I'm talking about. Keep it up. Keep battling. Okay, some shout-outs here today before we get into our topic. Peaceful Being, thank you, my friend. Alex McCunn, thank you. Stunna, thank you, my friend. Think Ahead 2001. Popsant, thank you. Villem, Smart Blackguy, thank you. Tomislov, thank you. Knowledge Berakah, thank you. Dawson Boyer, thank you. Vergil the Buddha, thank you. Elevate, and also Leon. 100 days for Leon. Keep it up, my friend. Keep it up. All right, so, and I'll make sure I got these copied down when I'm doing this. The topic for today, we're going to talk about one that a couple people have talked about and actually mentioned. Peaceful being one of them. Thank you, Peaceful Being. And also Uran Svaboda, I think it's, and I got this wrong, I apologize. But both of them kind of went in the direction of talking about why do women randomly touch you or bump into you during SR? Let's talk about that one a little bit. All right, so let's, and content starting in about 2 minutes here. So as we look at this, and this is kind of common type of thing, and some of you ask, why are we talking about women? You know, there's a lot more women who pay attention to the channel now than we used to. And part of this is just to understand men and relationships that we focus on. And the key, my friends, is to understand that no matter what kind of society we're in, no matter what the messages are sent out there by people, there is an innate biology that men and women have. And this biology indicates that the purpose for males and females, one of the purposes, not only to provide, protect, and be able to, kind of prosper and leave lands to generations, but one of the purposes is to procreate. There's no doubt about that. We need to mate. We need to find people we can mate with, and we need to be able to move the generation forward. If no one had children, well, we'd be a dead society faster than you think. And in some cultures, that's happened, where people have been exterminated and you couldn't have children. And all of a sudden, the population decreases, and eventually there's no one there. And that's why this becomes important. But you cannot eliminate what God has given you, and that's the innate ability to recognize men or women who are fertile, And we talk about women who are fertile, a lot of times it's when they're younger. Obviously, they can have children. But we don't talk about males who you can call fertile, though that's not a word we normally kind of use for that. But males tend to be the ones who are keeping their seed. And females know that. They instinctively know that. Now, they may not be able to tell you why they're attracted to a certain guy, but they will tell you this guy's got charisma, this guy's got chemistry, this guy looks a certain way. Well, down deep, what they know, they realize this is a person that they could mate with if all the other parameters were okay. And this is one of the reasons why they cannot help themselves. And it's just like men who can't help themselves with women who are in that same category. Now, we're teaching about self-control, so obviously you have to control yourself. But what I'm talking about is women will not be able to handle what they're looking at, because it's very rare for a man to have this type of energy, because in our society nowadays, the notion is you have to release all the time. You have to look at pictures, release anything you got to do, and this is going to make you healthier. But again, guys, I go back to that movie, The Matrix, and I go back to that blue matrix. which is what was presented to people in the world, it really is the opposite. And we call this is why you hear about red pilling. It comes from the Matrix movie. It basically is talking about the fact that you are living a false world because people are brainwashed that this is the way life is. And I believe that's really the case with retention, because for thousands of years, this has been practiced in other countries, in brahmacharya and Sufism, and you don't see all the negative things happening to those people over the years. In our society, because of people getting kind of into believing that the media was the all purveyor of truth, and that no one's lying to you, everybody's telling the truth, yet they're telling all different kind of stories about medicine and these illnesses and this illnesses and all that kind of stuff. You gotta say to yourself, okay, at some point I'm gonna push back. I'm gonna stop this if you want to continue living. And I had to do that twice. When I was in my 30s, I had to figure out a way to keep living, because I was so banged up with football and all this type of stuff that I had when I was younger that the doctor said, you don't have too much longer to live. You had hypertension, all kinds of stress level things going on, overweight, all kinds of stuff. But that's when I found the book, the Fountain of Youth book by Kelder, and I followed up to 1 through 5 on the exercises for many, many years and did tremendous. But then I always kept writing that was a 6th one, and that 6th one would make you superhuman. And I didn't know if I believed that, because it was talking about you have to forget about having sex and you have to transmute this energy. Well, I, of course, didn't want to do that when I was younger. Now I'm at the point in 60 that I decided that I do want to try that. So when I was 57, 58 years old, about 1,050 days ago, I decided you're going to do it. And I can't tell you how strong I feel. I feel like I'm better than I was 25 years when I was 25 years old, because the energy inside of you is unbelievable. And all we got to do is keep it and use it for all types of things. Now, of course, if you want to have children and you're procreating, that's wonderful. Use your energy to make another human being. That's excellent. But when it really comes down to it, to use it just for a little pleasure in here and there, I used to go for that all the time. I always thought that was the way to go. I don't any longer. I believe that there's other things that get you a lot more pleasure and joyfulness, and that's inside of you. And that's with God. And those type of things, as you get closer, as you do this more and more, you will get more spiritual. You have to. And that's when you get into God more. Now, I have not seen any kind of health problems with this at all. Now, let's go back to the topic we're talking about here. So, talking about this again, as you sense this biological type of nature, women will naturally be magnets to you because they sense that. And biologically, this is something that they all are programmed for. They're programmed when they were younger because they're going to have children. They want to have children. Now, not all of them have children for various reasons, but when they're younger, they're programmed to find mates. And they have their own types of ideas of what a mate is, but they know a man who has a seed. They could sense it. They can sense men that are drained out. It's always funny to me. I've seen stories where women are drawn to men, and all of a sudden they start releasing several times, and then the woman loses interest all of a sudden. Now, it's not a conscious thing in many cases. It's subconscious. And it's something that women react to because they're biologically in tune with a man. Whether you know that or not, they're always in tune with a man. The energy levels are always in tune, men or women. So the thing is that when they see something that has high magnetism, you're drawing those women to you. Now, they can't just go ahead and tackle you, though I have seen that happen to me in the past, right? I mean, they're just literally just jumping on you, right? I mean, this is not what we teach in society as a norm. But what they will do, most times, 99% of the times, unless they're in private, they will go ahead and give you signals. So they'll play with their hair. They'll go ahead and, kind of give you a hard time. All these type of things are indication that they like you. And the other thing that happens is that they basically want to touch you. They want to touch that energy you have. They want to find out what this energy is that they sense. And so they'll bump into you accidentally, of course. They'll touch you accidentally, of course. but they cannot help themselves. So this is why we talk about the fact that you don't see a lot of times when women are, kind of chasing after men, we don't usually see that as a problem. Now, on the other end, we see men chasing after women like this, and it's over the edge, and it becomes like being too much of a creeper type of thing. And women don't like that necessarily because it's kind of an insult. But women tend to give a lot of great messages if men would pay attention. But the question really becomes, as you look at this, is how much interest do you have in that woman? And the key really goes back to the fact that if they're touching you, if they're bumping into you, if they want to be around you, you have a couple choices. One, you can go ahead and say, this is a great flattering thing, and that's what I do because I've been married for 30 years and I'm not going to, I'm not changing my life at this point right now. Maybe down the line one day if I'm not married or, something happens to my wife or something happens, that may be a different type of story. But at this point, I love my wife and basically we have a great marriage and that's about all. So right now it's a flattering thing for me to be able to have all this, tension, and at my age, young women recognizing that, there's some attraction there. That's wonderful. But to me, that's as far as it goes from my end of it. Now, some of you younger males out there might be interested in some of these young ladies that give you that kind of attention. And once again, you have to kind of play it cool because you don't want to lose that energy because that's one of the things that's attracting them. And the other thing that's happening is that they need a masculine male. And there's no doubt in my mind this is what the world's heading back to, being a very strong male. We need males or else this world is going to collapse. There's no doubt about that. And we see this all the time happening with all the craziness we see out there right now with people not even know what their roles, all kinds of different things going on. So the thing is, you need to be a strong male. And I think warriors, we know that. The people who listen to this channel know that's kind of what I've always been talking about. We need to be a strong male, and we need to continue to battle on to fight for being that strong male. And women will react. You'll have women all over you. There's no doubt. I've seen it. Lots of other people have seen it. And once again, it's because that high energy level is so high that women can't avoid it. Even women are married, even women that, have a boyfriend, all kinds of stuff. You're going to see a lot of crazy behaviors because they just can't help themselves. Because they're attracted by nature and by what they're programmed to find that rare male who has their seed. And I'm telling you, it's a rare male. In our society, that's why we call this the 1% Club, guys. Warriors, we know there's very few people that are really holding their seeds for long periods of time. And those people become, unbelievably powerful as far as their own person goes. Now, what they do with it is important. And I think when you look at people like Malcolm X and all the people who've had these long streaks, if they're doing it for the betterment of their mankind through their God, that's wonderful. Obviously, you could do it for negative purposes, but I kind of, in a lot of the research I've done, I've seen the people who've done a lot of semen retention usually become very spiritual, and that person rarely uses it for negative purposes. They tend to use it for positive purposes. Remember, guys, having sex is not just a physical thing. It really is a control issue. A lot of times it's controlling. Now, who is controlling who? Those type of things come out of that. Yeah, you may see it as a pleasurable activity, but really you're talking about it's a matter of control. And this is what a lot of people use it for, whether they say it or not. That's what they kind of use it for. And we talk about this, realizing that if you can control yourself, and you don't need to do this, then all of a sudden you're not playing that person's game. And that person has to play your game, and you now have control of the situation, and you can do what you want to do with the situation. But again, remember, the consequences of going too far and releasing are not worth any of this. And this is why the MGTOW movement's important. This is why people tend to, kind of just stay away from women entirely. And I think that's a good sign in some ways, but I also see at some point that you may need that companionship. You may want that companionship. You may not want to settle down and have a wife and children and things like that. And all that is I think that's all something that's God's wanted you to do. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to have your own journey. And I applaud each one of you guys for having that journey. So, again, thank you guys. Burning Peaceful Being, Uran Svoboda. Thank you guys for your, and I messed that up, so I apologize. But I appreciate you guys, and shout out to both of you guys for this. And I hope you guys get something out of this one. But remember, women will come up to you, they'll touch you, they'll they'll bump into you. All these things will happen, but you have to react to it in a way where it's consistent with your nature and consistent with what you're doing. And that's leading goals, getting your goals accomplished, doing things out there for the Lord, and being that man that everybody looks up to and wants to be like. And that's what's key in your world, your environment. The women will always be there, and this is not demeaning to women at all. They'll always be there because they want a man who's a man, whatever they say. The trouble is they haven't found a lot of men who are real men. And when I talk about real men, what I'm talking about are people who have self-control. And those people are hard to find. All right, my friends, have a great day. And thank you guys for all the people who've I have so many comments. It's unbelievable. I have to keep going on this. I got 2 pages of comments now. So I appreciate all that. And we'll continue with another one tomorrow. I think we're going to talk about popsant, and NAR 1992 talked about depression, low energy, and semen retention. We'll talk about that tomorrow. All right, guys. So you guys have a great evening. And enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll do another one real soon. Probably try to do it tomorrow if we can, and if I get a chance in the classroom, I'll do it again. All right, my friend, have a great evening, guys, and remember 2 things. 1, first of all, every day is a new day to a great warrior, and 2, remember, guys, don't forget to bounce.